On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This video right here is not just a smoking gun. We've got a lot of evidence and proof that's built within this small little video. I want to kind of walk through this. I want to kind of show you a couple little pieces of information that I've pulled aside. And I want to basically build the narrative of how I believe this is absolute proof. Just this one incident is absolute proof of how Georgia was taken away from Donald Trump. Just this one video. I know the AP says they called the election. I got you. This video here is enough evidence to suggest otherwise. Let's go ahead and get into this video. There's a section where I'm going to pause it and talk a little bit, and then we're going to continue through, but this is some amazing stuff.
Okay, so what you're going to see happen at about 11 o'clock is once everyone is gone, coast is clear, they are going to pull ballots out from underneath a table. Watch this table. So actually this will take a few minutes, but we did not know when we first watched this, okay, is it normal to store suitcases of ballots under a table, under a tablecloth? Is that how they run the place? Maybe this is what they've been doing all day. Maybe this is what they're doing under all the tables. So we went back and watched the video as a team of us. We don't see that. What we see is typically you're going to find ballots, back in this corner, or coming in through a door, and then they get moved and circulated throughout the room.
Now, it's important to pay attention to the things this lady is saying. So right now, she's talking about the way ballots normally get processed in this room. They've watched all the video of all day long. If you look in the upper area, it's 11 p.m. up here at night, okay? So it's 11 p.m. That's also a very important data point. So essentially at 11 p.m., and then we'll find out at roughly, I think it was about 1 a.m., is when they basically left. So we're going to find that there was 2 hours that some shenanigans were going on. Now, a lot of people have speculated those boxes, suitcases, whatever that are underneath this table. We've talked a lot about this, right? And people have been speculating, well, there's probably about 6,000 eyewitnesses say there's 6,000 per box, blah, blah, blah. We don't even need to do that. I don't even need to speculate. She gives us facts and figures, and we're going to play around with those numbers a little bit and show you exactly how this one situation was enough to change the election. She gives us some more great information, so pay attention to what she is saying.
And it can get a little confusing because they have these black containers of ballots. They have the U.S. Postal Service containers. But what we were trying to do when we determined that there were ballots being pulled out from underneath this table is, what was the chain of custody? Where did they come from? Who put them there? When did they put them there? We only reviewed this at about 1 in the morning last night for a couple of hours, so we're going to need about 14 hours to watch it carefully because we fast-forwarded through it several times and could not find that particular frame, but here's what we can tell you for sure. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table.
Now first, just really quick, notice it's 11:02:42 p.m., okay? It's 11:02 p.m., and they're now pulling the ballots out. Pay attention. I mean, it does cycle kind of quickly. It is snapshots, but the seconds are ticking away. It's not like this is just rocketing through minutes. It's rocketing through seconds to a degree. But pay attention to how quickly they begin to start scanning. This is right after 11 o'clock at night.
This table, the black one, was placed there by the lady with the blonde braids at about 8:22 a.m. in the morning. So she put that table there. So the same person who's staying behind now, the same person who cleared the place out under the pretense that we're going to stop counting, is the person who put the table there at 8:22 in the morning. Yeah, I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table. Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses? is the question. So these machines can process about 3,000 ballots an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe that could easily be, and probably is certainly, beyond the margin of victory.
Now, two things she pointed out in just this last little segment that are super important. She says at 8:22, they have the video evidence of the lady with the dreadlocks with the white shirt. That's basically the daughter of the lady in purple, by the way. That she is the one who placed that table there, and they have the timestamp when she stuck the boxes there. Now, what I find to be very interesting is I literally have dug all over the place. And if you've got video, please email it to me, a link to the video that shows her putting them there. But oddly, I can't seem to find any evidence of that. She talks about it specifically. She talks about it in this video, how we're going to go and show you that within this hearing, obviously. But it's not actually shown, and I can't find the video. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but assuming it doesn't, that is somewhat circumstantial evidence, because placing false ballots into a location, and we've got proof of them pulling those ballots from that location and beginning to immediately scan them, and we've got digital evidence showing a spike at this time of night where a bunch of Biden votes came in. Some ridiculous number of Biden votes were inserted at this time. You put just a few pieces of information together and you realize, oh, this is quite possibly the problem. Okay, now on top of that, she gives us some very interesting numbers. She says these scanners can scan at 3,000 pages per hour. 3,000 pages per hour, so I got that number in here. Time spent scanning, we're going to call that 2 hours, but I'm going to play around with that number just to give you an understanding of what's going on. And how many scanners? We're going to play around with that. She threw around the idea of there being 3. So 3 scanners is 18,000 total ballots scanned. Now, just to give you a little bit of a tease, Joseph Biden in Georgia, election results, official from AP or New York Times. So we've got 2,473,707. Donald Trump, 2,461,779. Anyone that's sort of remotely good at math just in their head, you probably realize, ooh, that's pretty close. Huh. So just doing some of the math for us just to make life a little easier. Biden, 2479,707. Trump, 2461,779. The difference is 17,928 votes. Now, taking this kind of easily, 3 scanners, 3,000, that's a solid 18,000. But when you actually look at the video, you'll notice that this lady here, and I would go back and play it, but I don't want to bore you. You can go back if you need to. But this lady here got the box from her daughter almost immediately after this lady grabbed her own box. These 2 tables were scanning hardcore. She got involved pretty quickly over here and started, you can tell she's doing some scanning. Then this guy moseys his way over here, drags a box all the way over there, and he begins to scan. So a solid 3, yes, plus a 4th, yes. Now, how many are in each box? Hard to say. But let's just say hypothetically we've got 4 scanners going. That's 24,000 ballots. That's way over 17,000. Let's just say this is 1.75 because they actually get out it's after just a hair after 11 and just a wee bit before 1 o'clock where they get out and start doing all this. All right, so we change it to an hour and 3/4 or an hour and 45 minutes is basically what 1.75 would equal. And that turns out to be 21,000 ballots scanned, which is still well over the 17,000. Now, if we put 3, that puts us a little bit under. And I will say there's probably all sorts of other illegal Georgia ballots, a few hundred there, a couple thousand here, right? Well, now all of a sudden, even if we take the lowest lowball numbers, 3 scanners, 1.75, so an hour and 45 minutes, And the scanners can do 3,000 scans per hour. Let's just be honest. They were being very, it was very quick for them to tap them on the desk, which means these pieces of paper were pristine. Okay, that's another little piece of information that we're given from this video that's not really being discussed. They could tap, tap, tap them. When you've got the ones that are all foldy, have gone through the mail, they put them in these little trays. They're rectangular shape, and they vibrate. And you just shove in your papers, and they're kind of angled, so the papers kind of vibrate into place. So they, so you can easily shove them into a scanner. Because if they're all wackadoo, they don't scan right. So you got to kind of get them organized, and then you can shove them in a scanner, and they scan quickly. These guys didn't even need to use that technology. They were able to take them out of the box and tap, tap, tap them and drop them straight into the scanner. That is pristine paper. That's paper with no folds, no creases, nothing. It's going in perfectly, and it's going to scan perfectly, and they scan super fast when they're that kind of quality. Now, eyewitnesses have told us that these looked like they were copied, but it's hard to say. We don't know that for sure, and we'll probably figure out some of that information. But looking just at the numbers, we can see that that is exactly how this played out. Now, the important kind of thing to play out is just going to let this play out a couple more because they give us some more information that is pretty relevant.
In this race. Because if it's only 3 scanners working for 2 hours, right, that's 18,000 ballots that went through. And so if we were to sit here for the next 2 hours, what we would see is that this operation just goes on and on and on. They're scanning until about 12:55.
Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people scanning. It is 11:12 p.m. So I'm not even jumping too far ahead when I said, well, there's basically 4 people scanning. Remember our little math chart here. 4 people scanning makes a lot of difference, even at 1.75. It's 21,000. That's way more than enough to cover this. So we've got serious evidence that shenanigans were definitely going on. And again, she's got some more great info that she drops here. Hang tight.
In the morning. So we kept the video running. And, we can show you the people who gave us the affidavits reappearing at that time, just as they said, around 1 a.m. to find out, are they in fact counting after they told us they would stop working or not? And we will fast forward to that. But have you all seen as much as you'd like to see of what's happening here?
I think so.
I think you basically get the idea.
Unless any member wants to see more.
Or you have any questions?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay. So let's fast forward to about 12:55 in the morning.
And folks, that's where the video stops on Epoch Times. This is probably the best bit of video I've been able to find. I watched the entire part, and I tried to chop it up to keep it as good as we could. But the time up here is 12:52:45 a.m. And as you can see in this picture, we had the lady in purple with the purple shirt who was sitting over here is still standing here, but they're basically cleared out. And there's you can see the guy with the red shirt over here. They got their jackets on, a couple yellow shirted people over here in this bottom right video. So you can tell that they're basically now leaving. So they probably finished up, 7, 8, 10 minutes ago, whatever, maybe less. And maybe it's because they're starting to hear knocking on the door and they're like, oh no, they came back. Because that's what the poll watchers did. They went to the location where the electronic polling was being monitored. They went there and saw that this place was still sending out all sorts of votes, that they were counting votes. They were told to leave. They were told they had to go, and they would continue doing this in the morning. The second everybody clears out, everybody's seen that video, the second everybody clears out, these guys go to work. They start pulling boxes out from underneath this table. And as they've told us, at 8:22 a.m., they saw the lady with the dreadlocks, the white shirt, who is the daughter of the purple shirt lady. They saw her set that table up. They said this in this interview. They said it. They never showed it to us, at least in this particular video that's been released. Now, has the other video been censored? Don't know. Is it not being released because there's a criminal case going on? Because that, to me, would be a reason not to release that video, wouldn't it? If you know you're going to prosecute somebody for breaking the law, for injecting upwards of 21,000 votes, potentially, certainly more than 18,000, but inserting that many ballots that magically had no chain of custody, that broke all these rules, and you're the one that's responsible for placing them there, you're going to be facing somebody's discussion. Now, do you fall on that yourself, or do you rat out who's been organizing this? And the other side of this is, once you kind of know what to look for, don't you think they're checking the cameras in all the other locations? Yes. This stuff is busting wide open. The news, the press, everybody can say what they want. All of us are seeing this with our eyes. We don't care that the media is saying, this didn't happen. Whatever you're looking at right now is fake. No, you're fake news. We don't trust you. I trust my eyes. I trust what I'm seeing, and I trust these patriots that are fighting for this country right now. That's where we're at. And this right here, friends, is a major smoking gun. Major. This is probably proof of criminal conspiracy. I can't wait to see how or what we hear about it, how this plays out. But I assure you, this is beyond big. So hopefully you don't mind me going or rehashing some of this, but I think the little bit of an extra that I brought in should hopefully be worth the wait. I appreciate it all. Thank you, guys. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you haven't checked me out on Rumble, I'm also on BitChute. Again, it was kind of funny. One of my favorite people that I used to watch on YouTube a while ago, and they got censored, or they got banned. They got completely deleted. I think it was their third strike, and they killed the channel. And they haven't bothered to come back with a second channel. I actually got to watch some of their videos. They're on Rumble. And it was just so cool to be able to watch people that I haven't seen for a while. So remember, stuff's going to come up. People are talking about terms of service changing on the 20th of December. That's going to alter a lot of interesting behavior. It's supposed to keep people from being able to do these mass lawsuits against YouTube and other of the social media companies. So just be mindful. There's a lot going on. And even when you comment and do things like that, you're also being watched in a very unique way right now. So again, it's the way the game is played right now, folks. I love you guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you don't have the little bell notification icon on, you're probably not going to hear about these. It's just part of the shadow ban. But I love you guys. Remember, where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.